From Ohio's haylofts and tool sheds, driveways and blacktops where future legends practice buzzer beaters under dimly lit mercury lights, it's the show that covers all things high school basketball. Here is Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat. And now two brothers whose summer camp counselor was a tall, lanky guy they called Lou Alcindor. OHSAA Hall of Fame coaches and your hosts, Doug and Dave Kraus.
I don't know. I don't remember having Big Lou at one of our camps ever. Dave, you remember Lou?
I must have missed that camp, but those teams were pretty good that he played on. Now, John Wooden had the UCLA Bruins. Well, how many in a row? They were unbelievable. That was a machine.
Every year, of course, it's a little bit different tournament now than it was back when John was doing his thing. But nevertheless, they were big time.
Absolutely, and you can never wait. I mean, the NCAA tournament was, and it still is. It's still one of the best months of the year in my
March
book.
Madness, baby.
Absolutely, somebody coined that, made some money on that, but. Yeah, for sure. Everybody gets their brackets, and that is what it's all about. And so my brackets never end up very well, but nonetheless, it's something everybody does because that's what America does.
A lot of people don't know who Lou Alcindor was. He went by a different name then, if you remember, Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar.
Yep.
And his famous shot was?
Well, it wasn't a three-pointer. It was the old famous hook shot.
Skyhook.
Skyhook.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, hey, that's a good memory. We could talk a whole show on the NBA and or those type of NCAA memories. But
we've been to a couple of NCAA tournaments over the years.
We used to partake in those quite a bit. Often a lot of fun when you go to a Final Four setting. And I would tell our listeners this year it's I believe in Indy.
I think it is back in Indy.
If it's not this year, it's next year, but get to Indy if you're into the Final Four because that is the absolute best place to attend to a Final Four just for the ambiance and the whole setting. So,
yep, no doubt.
Yeah. Hey, last week we talked about, and we heard from our league coaches around the area talking about their league opponents. Doug, what about maybe some teams that they might have mentioned that is off to a good start as we have this early part of the season?
Well, I'll just look at a couple girls' teams, Davey, that are started up pretty well. We had Travis Arkwright on the show himself, and you know what? His Lady Eagles are 4-1 in the early season. They had a big win over Montpelier, who has been, they've been selected as a possible, BBC favorite. So that's a huge win. And speaking of the BBC, the Striker Lady Panthers, they have moved to 6-0 with a win over Hilltop here recently, and that's quite a start for the Lady Panthers.
Yeah, Coach Ruffer has them going, that's for sure. On the guys' side, let's stay up in Williams County.
Well, you know what? Before you go to the guys,
my bad.
I'm not done yet.
Oh,
I got one more on the ladies' side, and that's Archbold's Lady Blue Streaks. They're only 7-0 after their start. And they won the Defiance tournament last night, and Zig's got them going 7-0. Pretty impressive.
That is a great start. You can't go 7-0 without being 6-0 and 7-0, and now they can go 8-0. So that's a good thing.
You are a math major.
I did. Anna Swab was my math teacher. She was awesome.
Oh, rub out
class. Okay, now we'll jump to the boys' side, and Montpelier. Nick Ramos has got them going. They're 4-0 out of the gate early on and doing a good job. And I got to say something about Fayette. Kyle Lindsay came into a tough situation a year ago. They had a 2-win season, and already after 4 games, he's duplicated the 2 wins, and that shows you they put some work in. They're seeing improvement. What I think really neat about Kyle's situation that he now has his dad. Our excellent coach, John Lindsay, who was a long time at Ottawa Hills, on the bench with him. So, the two of them are down and up for the Eagles, and I think good things will be happening.
That's really neat. You ever see your dad sitting on the bench with you? Could you see that happening back in the day?
I did not. I would not see that happening. We had many a discussion about. After a game, and I guarantee you I can't say the words on the radio, but he said your zone offense is bad. That was, and then he'd start getting the salt shakers out, and he'd start getting a piece of paper out, and he would tell me, this is what you need to do. And I said, okay, well, we'll try that. But the salt shakers really never panned out for us.
Yeah,
but,
you might as well use the pepper ones. Yep.
Yeah. How about some players that have had some outstanding performances to date?
Well, before I hit any players, let's take a look at a couple of coaches that have had interesting starts. So we got some first-year coaches that notched their first wins in their career. And that's always a big time, Davey.
Oh, boy.
You remember your first one?
On the stage versus Pettersville.
Well, okay. Ours was against our good friends from Wasion, and you don't forget those.
Absolutely.
But a couple of them around the area, a couple of guys, a couple of girls. Wayne Trace coach Noah Goodrich got his first win in a game against Bryan here recently, and Jalen Dancer out of North Central, who's 2-0 this early season, had his first win as well. So congratulations. On the girls' side, a couple of them, tenor coach Doug Plasman earned his first win earlier against Continental, and then over at Swanton. Excuse me. I also mentioned boys basketball. Swanton, Eric Braden had a nice win in their first win, and that was good to see for him. And over at Evergreen, Josh Williams in his first year got a win, and they're up to 3-1 start too. So there's a couple there.
Yeah.
Now I'll go to the players. There's a couple of things I look around the area and kind of are intriguing to me. We have a couple freshmen in the area, one boy, one girl, who have been lighting it up. And when I say lighting it up, I'm talking from downtown. And Hicksville's freshman Boston Tribble had 7 threes here recently against in a game against Continental. 7 threes. That's not too shabby.
Well, it's an all-name team for sure.
Yeah, that's big time, isn't it?
Boston, I love that.
Yep. And then Archbold's freshman Molly Harris also had 7 threes in a big win against Edgerton for the Blue Streak. So that's pretty impressive shooting, 7 threes.
Obviously, they put the time in. That's very evident.
Yeah, and I agree. And one of the things I also think is kind of neat, there's some kids doing a pretty good job on the glass and so forth. I'll just point out Wayne Trace, Zach Stoller junior had 14 rebounds in a game against Bryan, which I thought was pretty nice. But there's also some people doing some double work out there, doing some double stuff. Paulding's Kaylee Dunham had a nice double. Was it 14 and 10 against or 10 and 10 against Bryan, and then Miley Gerke from Archbold just here last night, a double on Tuesday night in the Defiance Classic final against Ayersville, went off for a double. Again, doing some really good work. And speaking of doubles, on our show here a little bit later, we have a young lady from Wayne Trace, Lexi Moore, and she epitomizes doubles. That could be her middle name, double more. So what else you got, Dave? Back to you.
Well, just on the guys' side, just want to give some recognition to some outstanding performances. Evergreen Will Reitz had 39 points, in a game last week, and Evergreen's getting up and down the court. I remember Chad Burt last week telling us that. Pace, they go, and they're putting up some points, and that's a team you want to be able to watch. Put them on your radar. A couple players who notched 1,000 points in their career. Mac Heber, Patrick Henry, recently went over 1,000 points, and Jack Leppemeyer out of Pettersville did the same. And in that game, he only went for 41 points as well. So some outstanding performances, and kudos to those guys. And just out of our area to the south, just something that's unique. Delphos St. John, Cameron Elwer, he's a senior. He scored over his 2,000 point here recently, and young man is signed and ready to go to Furman for his collegiate career. So
yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, again, if Delphos St. John's will be coming to Pettersville here sometime early in the season here, it might be a must ticket to watch this kid in action against Jack.
Yep, no doubt. I got to also give props to the Archbold Blue Streaks the other night in their win against Kalida. How about this, Dave? You ever have a team go 17 from the foul line in a game?
No, but that's pretty darn good shooting.
Yeah, that might win you a game or two, huh?
I would agree.
Yep, and as we wind down, we also want to congratulate those Liberty Center Tigers for their football excellence. What a great season. I mean, just fun to watch what they've done. And Coach Muller and the Tigers and the people in Liberty Center, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's for sure. And now Coach Baden-Apple will get about a week with his troops and get him in basketball ready. And if anybody's can do that, it'll be Coach Baden-Apple.
Yeah, he'll tip it off on the 20th against Tenora.
Okie doke.
All right, well, let's head to the Coach's Corner. We got a couple of them today on this program.
Hey, we want to welcome to our Coach's Corner this week on the Hoop Chat a familiar face, somebody who's coming back to Northwest Ohio for stint 2 at Napoleon. Coach Corey Kreinbrink, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great that you could join us for a few minutes here and just pick your brain a little bit. But you certainly your first stint at Napoleon was pretty awesome. You did things that any coaches would love to do. When you garner 4 straight district tournament titles, a couple regional titles, obviously 2 trips to the Final Four. One, unfortunately, was not the way you wanted to do it, but the second one you ended it the right way. So talk about that whole first stint.
That was just such a surreal thing to kind of look back and think about how everything kind of laid out. When I first got there, Napoleon had just been in the NLL for a couple of years. And really the thought was in a lot of sports and not basketball included in that is that they couldn't compete in the NLL. The schools were just too big, and there's Perrysburgs and the Anthony Waynes and the Sylvanias and even the Springfields and everybody else was 2 and 3 times our size. So we just kind of wanted to get to the point of where we could just compete with those schools. And I want to use moral victories, but really we wanted to make sure that they knew that we were on their schedule and that they had to actually prepare for us, and that was kind of our first step. And we got to that point. We had some really tough kids early on, some really hard-nosed athletes that really cared about doing well. They cared about Napoleon a lot and worked their tails off, set a really great foundation. And then along that, we've got a wave of some really good talent, some really good athletes that were really committed to not only basketball, but I think just Napoleon and making a legitimate, time commitment and really got themselves in the gym, and they understood that we had a chance to be really good. And with that, we've found a way to win basketball games and kind of found an identity for ourselves with that group. And then we just got the mentality of we just expected it. And then we went from a team that was just hoping to compete in a league to we won 31 straight games in the NLL over a course of 4 years. So
Wow.
To look back and think about some of the things that we were able to accomplish, that it doesn't make a lot of sense that we were able to do that, but it's something I'm very, very proud of and very grateful that I was able to be a part of that.
Well, rightly so. I mean, something that you can hold as great memories, and the memories you created for the Napoleon community has just been totally awesome. Well, let's jump back to your return now and your season currently. You're 2-2 currently, but this team is defending champs of the NLL, and you return a couple key people. Why don't you talk about your team this version?
Yeah, Ava Good and Hannah Miller are 2 kids. Ava's a senior, and then Hannah's a junior that returned with the majority of the experience from last year. They're both all league players last year, so they're people that we're going to lean on. And then there are some other kids that had some experience, but more than anything, those 2 we really lean on from a scoring standpoint, a playmaking standpoint, and their roles have really had to expand as well. We've got some youth, but at the same time, we feel like we're in a good spot. I think we have a really good group that cares about each other. We've got other seniors that Bailey Lamming does a really nice job for us defensing and rebounding. Reagan Dietrich is another kid that's kind of a program 4-year player that just wants to help any way we can and defends really well and helps gives us from transition from defense to offense. Taylor Glons is a 6-foot junior for us that does a really good job of giving us a paint presence and rebounding for us. Addie Butler's another junior that's coming along really well for us. And then, Tessa Ressler's a sophomore. She's the younger sister of Kaylee Ressler, who's on those teams. So she's finding her own niche. She's a different player than Kaylee is. She's more of an energy kid for us, and really a tough grit like kid. And then we have a freshman point guard in Kendall Miller, which will be Hannah's younger sister, who's kind of in a similar mold as Tessa, is a tough kid that really just wants to go out there and do whatever she can to help us win. She's had some really good games early on, and we're really excited about the potential of our group. Along with those 8 kids, we've got 17 others in the program right now that are excited to come every day to practice and work to try to be a part of that next team. So we're going to take our lumps. There's going to be some growing pains. That's going to happen regardless. We certainly took some shots last night to a very good Anthony Wayne team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're learning how to play hard. Involved with that, we got to learn how to practice hard. And once we kind of get that, I think we took a step in the right direction last night, regardless of what the score was. We feel like we can be a team that can be a pretty good, solid team, especially towards the end of the season.
Well, that's good. And when you say you play hard, you learn some things there. That goes a long way, Corey. When your girls understand that, hey, we may have lost a game, but we did some good things, and we can build on.
Yeah, I think I don't think you understand how hard you have to play to have success against those teams until you go against those teams and kind of get your butt kicked a little bit. And with that, maybe have some success and stretches, and you try to grab onto those as a coach and really try to get the microscope out and show them that we had some success here, but we had some success because of these reasons, and a lot of it is just because you're busting your tail and doing the best you can. So once we kind of get to that step, I think we'll be able to take a lot more steps from that and really be able to try to execute a little bit better and really compete at a higher level.
Yeah, from watching your program, when during your first stint there, I guess you call it, I was always impressed at how active you were with the youth, the younger kids in your program, and you seemed like you always had really good numbers at camps. You did a lot of different things. So, as a coach in your 11th year, what are some things you've done to get those younger kids involved in your program?
We've got a good relationship with our city rec. And we're able to get kids involved in the city rec as early as 3rd grade during the winter. That certainly helps. Really, our youth camp in the summer is a big thing that we look at and try to get as many kids involved as possible. We go as young as kindergarten with that, and really just to get involved. It's nothing crazy when you got those kids running around, and it's more of a babysitting service. But you get them involved and really get the high school kids involved and around those younger kids. And I've talked about with the high school kids this year. They remember the youth camps and the rec days and everything like that. They can't tell us what we did those days, but they can tell you what high school kids were around and who they were paired up with and who they looked up to at that time. So that, as much as anything, I think is probably the best way to build kind of a program, especially within the community that supports the way that Napoleon does. You really get excitement that way, especially with the younger kids. And I think you really get an emotional investment that's hard to match at other places, and especially at other bigger schools where you don't really maybe get that community involvement.
Well, that's impactful when you can get that tie-in and buy-in from your own players and how that translates to that younger group, man. It is such an important piece. I know you're a passionate guy about your education, teaching, coaching. Maybe along the way, Corey, maybe somebody who gave you some coaching advice, something that maybe a mentor or somebody that you looked up to, told you a phrase or something that's always stuck with you. When did that possibly happen for you?
I don't know about a phrase. Obviously my dad was a varsity head coach for. I always say forever because it was basically my whole life until a couple of years ago. But I think he was officially 36 years. I learned more than I even realized from him, and not only from a basketball standpoint, from just managing a team throughout a season. and then managing the team throughout an off season and all the different variables that are involved in that. I think that as much as anything is probably the most important thing to think about from when you're coaching teenagers, is managing, your interactions with them and the relationships with them and everything else like that. Because you can have the greatest scheme in the world, and you can have everything figured out from a basketball standpoint. But if you can't connect with the kids and if you can't get in a buy-in, it really doesn't matter. So I think more than anything, I learned from him just being a manager of people, and really cherishing those relationships and helping building those relationships. And then once you do that, you can really get some buy-in. You can really do some things, for a lot of different things on the basketball floor, and try to have success from that standpoint.
That's for sure.
I know you've always had really good support from the community, as you've mentioned. When you were in Dublin, down in the Columbus area there, what differences do you see between the interaction from the community that you got down there as to what you get here at Napoleon? Do you see any differences?
The short answer would be yes. The long answer is that there's a lot of them. So there's just a lot of variables. Columbus is so unique with almost every suburb is a multi-high school
Correct.
district.
Sure, yeah.
You got Olentangy's got 4 high schools. They're about ready to have a 5th.
Yep.
Devlin's got 3 high schools. Hillier's got 3 high schools. Westerville has 3 high schools.
Mm-hmm.
You can just keep going around. Southwestern, which has Grove City
Sure.
and Westland and some other ones, they have 4 high schools. Pickerington has 2 high schools now. So you kind of, I don't want to say you lose it, but from a standpoint, there's almost too many things going on. It's almost too big to really have a huge community
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. And then you also have the fact that your community is kind of getting broken up a little bit. It's not just one high school. You got multiple high schools to think about, and a lot of different variables with that. So that more than anything is a big difference. I think AAU involvement from a basketball standpoint is a big factor too, as far as the differences. There's so many different AAU and club programs and trainers and everything else involved when you get down to Columbus, where so much when you get up here. Sometimes the only gym is your only high school gym,
Right.
and the only person that can let you in is your coach. So,
There you go.
so I mean that is a factor. I think there were some times where I think kids would rather just play AAU down there because they're just used to that schedule, and it's more casual, and you practice a couple of days a week and go play a tournament on the weekend and just hang out with some friends. So there's not quite the investment, I think, in the school sometimes, and in the high school program, just because they haven't been around as much as around it as much as maybe other kids in Napoleon have. A lot of kids in Napoleon were born here and raised here and grew up here, and they went to Napoleon games growing up, and they go to the football games in the fall and basketball games in the winter, and they run around during those games, and there's kind of that emotional investment. So those things kind of as much as anything, and then along with enrollment and people moving, and now you're going to throw NIL stuff in there. So those are all factors of how things are different, of very different landscapes in the same state.
Sure.
From standpoint of high schools, but the community aspect and the fact that there's multiple high schools in most of the districts, that's probably the biggest change than what you're going to find around here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're biased, kind of like with you. We're Northwest Ohio, born and bred ourselves, and so we really appreciate the communities and the effect those communities have on our schools and how much they support them, and that's really a treasure we have in this part of the state. Corey, that's really we really thank you for taking the time this afternoon and joining us, and certainly wish you well as you come back to Napoleon and get that program going again like you had before. So best wishes to you.
Yep.
All right, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
All
thanks,
right.
Corey.
Take
Good luck,
care.
man.
All right, thank you.
I want to welcome head coach Logan Stoller to our coach's corner from the Paulding Panthers, 14-10 last year, 6-1. Co-champs in the GMC last year with Wayne, Trace, and Tenora. So, hey, appreciate you taking the time, Logan.
Absolutely. Always want to talk basketball with you guys.
You betcha.
That's
hey, let's get right into it. Your background's kind of interesting. My understanding is that you're not in education. You do some farming. Is that what you do?
Yeah, so it works out pretty good. I farm on the family farm, and wintertime when I'm kind of laid off, I get a second job in basketball coaching.
Well, that works out really well. But that intrigues me because I from that leads me to what got you interested in the coaching angle. What got you
I
started?
would say just the passion for the community. I kind of always want to bring the love and the respect and kind of bring that back to Paulding basketball because it's kind of up and down. And so I got a love for the game and for the community. So I just kind of want to get involved in that and plant my roots.
Well, you've done a certain job getting yourself planted there. Tell you what, I know you had six guys back this year. Let's get into this year's team as we speak. And you're 1-1 right now with a loss to Defiance and a nice win at Pettiesville. Why don't you just share with us about your squad right now for us, Logan?
Well, we're fortunate enough to have 6 core lettermen coming back. So it's always nice relying on their experience and the confidence. So Blake Roanhouse, Grady Barton, Xander Cook kind of lead the way as our seniors. Roanhouse is a luxury to have as a coach, but we also got 3 solid returning lettermen as juniors as well. So we kind of established momentum last year, and the football kind of propelled that. So we're just kind of building off that. But I think last year's confidence and experience and playing together as a whole is going to help, hopefully, project us into reaching our goals this year.
I happened to catch you guys last year, and we did your game in the district tournament there against Archbold. I was very impressed with your squad. I mean, you guys play a nice physical brand of basketball. How do you coach that? What do you do for that physical at both ends of the floor, for that matter?
Well, first of all, our first game of the season against Defiance, we weren't the more physical team, and that's kind of it showed, and that's why we didn't come out on top. But I always preach on 3 things: it's attitude, effort, and energy, and we make
Nice.
sure we go over that every day. And we always replicate and we compete at everything we do in practice. So we kind of call it the king of the jungle, and we go 1-on-1, 5-on-5, 3-on-3. So whatever it takes, keep track of wins, and at the end of the day, we kind of put those guys in a showcase and give them the credit they deserve.
Nice.
Well, competitive practices are key to anything, that's for sure, Coach. So, you and I share something a little bit in common, not the beard, but maybe if I shaved my head, I could handle that. But we both have coached at our alma mater, and that was special for me. Talk about how your feelings about being back at Paulding and leading the program.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't coach anywhere else. So I think it's important to take pride in your job, let alone your own community. So it's one of those dream jobs for me. So I just love basketball. I love my community, and I don't think I would coach anywhere else. So hopefully in 20 years, I can talk to you guys even more.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd volunteer. I'd volunteer for that right now. What about you mentioned the football background? We all know that read the paper of the success that the Panther program had this fall. How does that kind of translate to basketball as you move into this season?
Well, I think it's important that it's a good thing to have, but it just shows the competitors we have, and it doesn't matter the sport, the circumstance. So it's always frustrating for us basketball coaches getting them late, but it's a good problem to have because these kids will compete no matter what kind of ball they have. It's a football, basketball, baseball. So it's really cool they got to go and experience that, and hopefully we can keep that going moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. We've both been in that same situation with football, and it's a great thing. It can't hurt your team. I mean, it really can't. The only thing that can hurt is if you got a couple of your key players hurt late and they're not available for you. But other than that, it's great for the school. It's great for the community. It's great for the entire athletic program.
Yeah, no, Paulding's not used to it, so it's been a long time coming, and it's an awesome experience for our community.
No doubt. I thought an interesting thing was I know prior to you being named the head coach, you were an assistant under Brian Miller. How many years
Yeah.
were you an assistant?
I was 4 years JV with him, and I was also 3 years on the 8th grade staff. So
Oh, there you
I was
go.
actually fortunate enough to get him coming back as my JV coach this year.
Well, that was leading to my next question. I understand. I was going to say, I understand he's now your JV coach. How's that been working out? He was your boss, now you're his boss. How's that working out?
Man, that's really cool. I mean, he taught me a lot when I was JV coach for him, and we just click and we mesh so well. So it's awesome to bring him back because we have the same priorities and the same chemistry, and we kind of pick up where we left off already. So uh, he's an awesome coach, taught me a lot, and I'm just hoping he's just going to share that with his group down there. And we're definitely going to pick up where we left off last year, let alone it's a nice addition to our staff.
Great.
Well, last week we talked to area coaches about get their opinions of their league and expectations in the league. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of how you view your competitors in the league?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's going to be a dogfight, but like last year, Wayne Trace only lost a couple role players, so they're reloading. Fairview graduated maybe one or two kids, and they're always gritty. Tenora, well coached, efficient. Edgerton, athletic, well coached, patient. Hicksville's always willing to compete. They got a young freshman stepping up too. So I think it's going to be a dogfight, and not to mention Ayersville. They got Jeremiah Peak and Dane Ewers. Those kids can put up some points in a hurry. So it's going to be a competitive schedule top to bottom, and I don't think it's going to be one or two teams fighting at the top.
What about your non-league schedule? Who are some of the opponents that you'll be facing out of the league?
Well, we already had Defiance and Pettysville this past weekend, and like Jack Leppenmeyer, he's the real deal. So
your defense wasn't quite there on him.
I tell you what, we put probably one of the most athletic players in Northwest Ohio on him, and he's still got 41.
Yeah, he's a
somehow.
player. There's no doubt. He's a player.
Well, that's not.
But we picked up Eden, we picked up Crestview this year, so they got Griggs Gallicu at Eden. Crestview's always competitive, physical as well. Liberty Center, Bluffton at the end of the year. So they're always solid programs, great coaches, and some top-notch athletes.
Well, those type of games will get you back in that district tournament where you always want to get to at the end of the year. So, Logan, we appreciate you taking the time here today, and really looking forward to watching your squad develop as the season goes on. So the best to you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Hey,
you're welcome.
Best
Good
of
luck.
Thank you.
Hey, we want to welcome to our senior spotlight, our first senior of the year we get to talk to.
It is our first senior.
And we're excited to have Lexi Moore, Wayne Trace Senior, 4-year Letterman starter for the Lady Raiders. And all they did last year was go undefeated in the GMC and claim a championship. And I'm sure that's probably part of the agenda for this year so they can duplicate that effort. But Lexi, hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. And you know what? I've intrigued by looking at your record in terms of your own scoring abilities and rebounding. You're just like a double machine. How do you do that?
I guess I just go in with that mindset just to work as hard as I can. That's like my goal is just, all right, go out there, try to get your double, make that a statement. So when people see me, they know, okay, I got to watch out for this girl. I got to box her out. I got to, look out for her. That's just how I go in and try to stand out, I guess.
Gotcha. Rebounding is really a want-to mentality. You just got to want to make the effort, and obviously you're really, really good at it. I think one game this year you've already had 20-plus rebounds one game, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously you take pride in doing that, and that's important for your team.
I think you're a little selfish. You should share those a little bit.
I don't know about that.
I'm just kidding.
Be greedy. I get them all you can.
I like greedy too.
Yeah. What about your team this year? You're off to a good start, 3-0. What talk about your team and your teammates, and what's been key to this early success?
I'll tell you what, I don't think I could be here without my team. Especially I've grown up with those Winans Twins girls ever since I played ball, and I don't even know, so early, like YMCA days, and they have helped me tremendously just being there, being able to take that ball because I cannot dribble a ball to save my life. So having them on there, and just also being able to watch girls from my freshman year, having them and just like watching them showing me how I should be on the team and everything. And I just love my team all around. They just do everything right and they know what they're doing. So
well, that's awesome. That's team sport. That's what it's all about. So Lexi, what got you interested in sports? Who or what got you interested in sports way back when?
I was thinking about this actually a few days ago. I think what got me wanting to play basketball, it wasn't really an individual person. It was just me sitting on the bench watching, maybe my older sister playing, or big people like Claire Sin, seeing her being like out there and just shooting and hearing her name, or Danae Myers, or just people like that. Those people, I just wanted to be like them, and seeing them have fun with their team is just kind of what pushed me. Oh, maybe this is something I want to do. So,
Well, you know what? You've done a good job with that, and I'm going to guess there's some young girls in the Raider land saying the same thing about being the one to be a Lexi Moore. So good for you. Anyway, what if we were talking Coach Davis? You're going to go to practice here pretty soon, but if we ask Coach Davis, how would he describe your game? What do you think he would say about Lexi Moore's game?
my game.
About you, the individual, as a game, anything.
I would hope you'd say that, I try to go out with 100% with a bunch of endurance and everything, making like not being lazy, because running back and forth all the time, that can happen. You just have to give it all. That's probably what I would want him to say, that I give it all that I got, going up and down, and that's going strong.
Okay, well, very good. Dave, what do you got on? You say your microphone's off or what?
I think I'm out. Can you hear this?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah,
I can't hear myself. Okay, well, great. I thought I was lost power, which would probably been a good thing. But yeah, that's exactly what Coach Davis told us about you. Yeah, he thought you're a hard worker, and he just loves your mentality and what you bring to the team. And what intrigues me about your team, you mentioned them a little bit, is the twins. Doug and I obviously are twins, so we have a relationship. We can relate to them. Do they ever confuse you? What do they do that's fun about the twins?
The one thing that stands out with the twins, and it makes me laugh, is they can say anything to each other and they don't take it to heart. Like being sisters, I know I've played basketball with my sister, and it's just different out there. They can just say something and you don't got to think twice about it. You can just it's a different feeling. The bond is different. So you can see that bond between them that shows to not just me, but every girl that they're there to work, and that they care about it for sure.
Okay. So they have a little telepathy going between them, huh?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. What about just a couple things? I always like these kind of questions. You wear number 23, correct? Mm-hmm. What's the significance, if anything, for that number?
I don't really know. I just thought it was a good number, if I'm being honest. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's me. I think my Uncle Seth, he was a good basketball player. I think he was number 23, which might have gave me that little light bulb that maybe I went for at first. I think he told me that when I was little, so that might be like the main reason, but I stuck with it, and that's been my number forever. What
about a go-to hype song, something you play pregame or that really gets you going?
I'm into like Forrest Frank. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's a great pop artist, Christian pop artist that, I go crazy with that. When I put my headphones in and I'm in the zone, that's what I'm listening to. He's a great guy.
So as you've looking back on your career, you've had a really good career, and it's something you're still in the midst of putting your final stamp to it. But what's maybe one area of growth since your ninth grade year that you think you've grown most as a player?
I think that's a good question. I would say my shooting has gone up, trying to be the offensive person on the team, because when I was a freshman, I was kind of there just to rebound because I had Gracie Shepard on my side. And I think me maturing and the years con, I realized, okay, well, I got to step this up. I can't just be there for those rebounds. I can't just pass the ball out. No, I'm going to have to do something to get my team farther. And I think me realizing that has made our team go farther. for sure.
Well, that's real good. How about as you look into the future, you're going to graduate from Wayne Trace High School next spring. What's the future plans possibly hold for you? You have an idea yet?
I do. I just know right now I want to go to a close college for sure, and then I want to become a kindergarten teacher.
Well, that's awesome.
A kindergarten teacher,
Yes.
kind of like your coach from last year.
Yes,
There you
just like
go.
my coach from last year.
That's awesome. We promised Coach Davis that we would not have you late and tardy to practice. However, we did hear that possibly an embarrassing time for you might have been earlier this year where you were indeed late to practice. And what I thought interesting was he made you choose your punishment. So I'm curious, what was the punishment you chose for being late?
Well, I kind of sat down with my dad and I was like, all right, I got to make this fair because I was late, which I don't like talking about. But so I chose for myself the one thing that I hate to do is run, like I said about track. So I'm like, that has to be something in there. So what I had to do is I had to run 6 stair laps around our whole gym.
Whoa.
And then in between every 2, I had to shoot and make 10 free throws was my punishment.
Well, the Palace is a big place to run, so
It is.
that was pretty good. So.
Yeah, that's a good punishment. So,
Yeah.
well, Lexi, we appreciate your time today, and so we don't get any more trouble from Coach Davis, we'll get you back out of there. But thanks a lot for sharing with us, and we wish you all the best as you and the Lady Raiders continue your season. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
Time now to thank our sponsors for Season 2 of Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat. Our title sponsor this season, the Terry Hendricks Auto Group. Terry Hendricks sells and services new and used vehicles with a reputation for professional service. Visit or contact both Terry Hendricks Ford and Terry Hendricks Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Archbold. D&G Welding of Archbold. Call 419-445-5751 and ask about their mobile service. Rely on D&G Welding for all your welding needs. American Freedom Energy, located just off US 24 on Highway 109 by Liberty Center. If you're traveling in the area, stop in for a fuel fill-up of high-quality Marathon gasoline. And while you're there, pop into Grandma's General Store. You'll find locally produced grocery items from local Henry, Fulton, Defiance, and Williams County producers. Ward's Power Sports and Carts in South Archbold, your hometown experts for top-quality golf carts and UTVs. Stop by or go to www.wardscarts.com and see why they're the area's trusted choice. S&W Mills of Archbold, proud supporters of the Archbold Blue Streaks and all our area students and athletes. Call S&W Mills of Archbold for all of your animal bedding needs at 419-445-5206. Viking Trucking in Ridgeville Corners. They provide reliable transportation for your construction materials like stone, dirt, asphalt, rough material. They handle all types of heavy materials for your construction needs. Call 419-267-3319. Viking Trucking, where quality doesn't cost, it performs. Thiel Construction in Blakesley. They excel in custom residential and commercial construction services. They offer custom home building, remodeling, commercial build-outs, and project management. Trust Thiel Construction for your next construction project. Also, while you're in Blakesley, visit the Thiel Supply Center. From power tools to plumbing supplies, they offer everything needed to tackle any job. The Sherwood State Bank, with branches in Sherwood, Defiance, Archbold, and Fayette, offering banking and financial services for consumers, business, agriculture, and investments. Call the main branch at 419-899-2111 or visit one of the local 4 branches nearest you. And Innovatech Solutions of Archbold, your trusted technology partner. Call 419-445-8088 to learn more about their many services or visit them online at innovatechsolutions.net. That's Innovatech with a K, solutions.net. Thanks to all our sponsors for Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat Season 2, and we do sincerely hope that you, our listeners, will patronize these fine businesses. And if you enjoy Hoop Chat, thank our sponsors for supporting the program.
Want to welcome Coach Brooks Miller to our VIP segment. Brooks, how you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. It's really good being on and just conversating with you too. It's having admired you so much as a player, coaching. You guys coaching against us when I was at Evergreen, and then just following you throughout your careers, recruiting your players when I was a college coach. It's awesome to be here with you guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Well, you're venturing back to some old times now of talking about making us feel real old when you were a player.
Yeah. There's constant reminders that it's been a lot longer ago than I thought. Every morning when I wake up, I feel it, and then I take a peek in the mirror and I start to see it a little bit more. But it does. A lot of those moments still seem like they were yesterday. I was really blessed at Evergreen to have some incredible teammates, and Coach Kiefer has obviously become more than more than a coach in my life, and a great mentor, and just someone that I wouldn't be here without him and his family and everything else. So I was a really lucky young man growing up. I had a lot of great leaders. I actually I texted my principal 2 nights ago, Mr. Basilius. I said, just thinking about all the leaders that I've been able to be around. I remember when I was a kid, we were probably watching Archbold play Evergreen when I was like in 5th or 6th grade. And we used to love going to the games. We didn't win a lot then, but we'd play like hide and seek and tag in the hallways and stuff. And I remember this new principal got there, and he was the meanest guy because he made us go watch the games. And he cleaned up that high school and really took it to new heights. Him and Russell Griggs is our superintendent. So I was real fortunate growing up to be around a lot of great people.
Well, you got ahead of me there a little bit, but that's good stuff, Brooksy. I like it. You're in your first year as assistant at Central Michigan now, and your 22nd year in the coaching profession from what my records are. Is that about right, you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
Okay, well, obviously 14 years at Trine, 247 wins, and, of course, that 2024 Division III National Champion. Some pretty good memories there. You took us through some of your history. How about some more of your journey along after your basketball career, particularly as led you into coaching then?
Yeah, going back to the Evergreen experience, I just idolized Coach Kiefer. I loved his lifestyle. I loved how he made us feel as players. We were important. He allowed us to get better. And, I had Coach Bob Beamer in football, and Brian Nagy in baseball. And those guys were just played such a significant role in my life, especially after I lost my dad when I was 15. So it was something I always wanted to do. And up until then, my dad was a coach. So, and he was my biggest hero, and somebody like most of us here, we've had, really fortunate to have those type of father figures in our lives. And it just really kind of carried on. I had an opportunity to go to Toledo and play for Stam Joplin as a freshman, as a walk-on, which was really something I needed in my life. You look back and how all these puzzle pieces come into play. I went from being at Evergreen, where I was calling the timeouts as a player, to Toledo, where I don't even know if Coach Jop knew my name for 3/4 of the year, but Coach Jop was a tremendous defensive coach, very intense guy, had a great staff there. Tony Jones became an elite recruiter for Bruce Pearl for all those years at Tennessee and UW Milwaukee. He was on staff there. Monty Mathis had a great career in the NBA under Rick Carlisle at the Mavericks. So, and then there was more opportunity for me to play at the Division II level. And then I went and played for Coach Ed Dauma, who was absolutely remarkable when, I couldn't do nothing right there. So, talk about having all 3 roles as a player, the guy that's really getting all the shots and making all the plays, to a guy that's ignored and just, an afterthought probably to the coaching staff, to a guy that was the reason we did everything wrong. However, all those situations I needed in my life, and Coach Dauma really, really toughened me up. And I was fortunate enough to work for him then after I was done. Playing at Hillsdale College for 3 years, and then moved on to Texas Tech as a graduate assistant. So I've made a few investments in my life in coaching. I was a full-time assistant there at Hillsdale, and then I had the opportunity to really make $0. I was able to make some money on the side, but to go be a graduate assistant for Bob Knight and have that experience. And I was with Coach for 8 months before he resigned, and then worked for Pat. But on staff was Chris Beard, who has become a close personal friend of mine. But really, I was kind of his assistant and Pat's assistant. Stu Robinson was a great player. Les Furtick used to coach at Ohio State when they had Jimmy Jackson and Derek Anderson. He recruited Derek Anderson to Ohio State. So I was always picking his mind every day. And then I went on to junior college. We had a couple of players from South Plains College out in West Texas at Texas Tech, and I got to meet this guy named Steve Green. And Steve Green's one of the most fascinating individuals I've ever been around, extremely demanding. And really, for the first time ever, I was just an asset. It wasn't like there was a whole lot of emotional connection between Steve and I when I started there. It was all about results, all results-driven production. And, I really had to work there. It was so much. I learned how to recruit for Coach Green, and the demands, the challenges to put on players. And those other coaches did that as well. But Coach Green really taught me about everything you have to do just to get the team on the floor and get them ready to go. So learned a lot there. The year after I left to go to Trine, they went 32-0, won the national championship, arguably one of the greatest junior college teams in the history of junior college. And Coach sent me a ring. So that was one of the biggest
that's awesome.
I think, that I was ever a part of. So that national championship ring means a lot to me. I actually gave that one to my mom. because being gone for 4 years, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of stuff with my brother and sister, the family. My wife made a lot of sacrifices, but the things that I thought, just a remembrance, a reminder to my family of, we're making these sacrifices to create more opportunities. So that was a big investment. And then being the head coach at Trine, there was nothing like it. I got to learn how to coach. When I first got there, there was probably 50 people in the crowd, and maybe 2 of them actually cared whether we won or lost, or knew when we screwed up. So I got to learn how to coach there. And one of the best teachers, obviously, Coach Kraus, Doug, working with Doug Williams. I think I've worked now with Coach Bronckham is the 4th coach I've worked for that's won a national championship, and there's no better teacher than Doug Williams of how to teach the game and how to utilize the fundamentals, and the fact that you're actually competing against human nature. You're not really competing against your opponent. You're competing against yourself and how hard you can push yourself, and the little techniques of what makes that a little bit better and stronger. So just been really lucky. And then to take the investment to go work with Coach Brockma, to have that opportunity after winning the national championship and the success we had at Trine, going from being a head coach to an assistant coach, making that investment and learning. I just felt like I needed to sharpen my craft, so to speak, is what people commonly say. I felt like there was more that I was missing that I could add. And I knew Coach Bronkema and followed him closely and all the success they had. So I wanted to be a part of this opportunity here at Central Michigan, and I'm learning a ton each and every day from him and our staff.
Well, you kind of took the question right out of my mouth about, the time you made the change. You had success. There's probably Brooks opportunities along the way at Trine where you could have gone elsewhere, but you chose this particular time to go with Coach Bronx. Beyond that, what was the connection between the two of you?
Well, we have a Coach Bill Saul, who is now the head coach at Calvin College. He recruited and coached me as an assistant at Hillsdale College. So him and I were always really close. Him and Coach Dowman together. We went to 2 NCAA tournaments with him on his staff there. And I just got real close with Coach. And when I got into coaching, he really helped me learn how to coach for Coach Dowman, how to really, complement the things he did well. So we really even got closer as when Coach Saul was the head coach at Ferris State after he left Hillsdale. So he's always been a great mentor of mine. But while he was at Ferris, he hired Coach Bronkema as a volunteer assistant. So anytime we would go recruiting wherever I was at, whether I was at Hillsdale or I was at South Plains, I actually remember being at South Plains, being in Texas and going to the state tournament, Coach Krause, and watching one of your teams play and meeting Coach Saul there and hanging out and talking and, with Coach Bronkema and anything we would do recruiting wise. Final Four, we started hanging out. And then Coach Drew Lehman worked for me for 7 years at Trine as my top assistant, is smart of a basketball mind, and he played for Coach Bronkema and Coach Saul at Ferris. So I think the relationship between Coach Saul, Drew, myself, and Coach Bronkema really brought us close. We had a lot of shared visions of how we invest in the players and understand that what can we do? What else can we do for them to make it easier for them? So we really clicked in that area. And he was just always a guy that we've talked about. How do we create a Division I opportunity for ourselves in the next 5 years? And we always kind of wanted to work together if that was possible. Well,
when I was at Findlay, I was able to compete against Ferris. So I know exactly what you're coming from with those people. They're excellent people. And I've always enjoyed competing against Coach Brockman. Let's backtrack. You mentioned Coach Knight 1 year with the General. Everybody's got a Bob Knight story. Come on, you got to give us one.
Well, there's a lot of great ones, but one that I really like to tell is I always thought to myself, when I go back home to Metamora and go to Joe's Tavern and have a beer with guys over Christmas or Thanksgiving, what are they going to ask me? Hey, what did you learn from Coach Knight? Well, I learned the importance of the shot fake. We shot faked. We sprinted the screen. We finished our cuts to the front of the rim and then out to the corner or whatever we did. He was extremely fundamental coach that allowed for a lot of creativity with his players. I think people would be surprised with that. The other thing I'll tell you about Coach Knight, he was absolutely hilarious. He was really, really funny. Now, some of that could be, it was so tense, the whole environment was really intense, and he had a great knack for being able to break some of that with some real small comedy here and there. A lot of good stories, but just to tell you one quick story, Texas A&M had DeAndre Jordan. Joseph Jones was actually the best player on that team. He was first team All Big 12. Josh Carter was first or second team All Big 12. They had Donald Sloan. And they had some other really good players. So they were loaded. They're like number 9 in the country or something like that. And we've already lost to Centenary. We've lost to Sam Houston State. We've lost some tough games along the way. And we got Texas A&M, who's number 9 in the country. Like, I don't know what they were at the time, 17-2. We got them at home, and all week long, all we worked on was how are we going to get DeAndre Jordan in foul trouble? Because Coach always said, "Hey, the best defender of DeAndre Jordan is the bench. If we can get him on the bench, so let's do that." So we started every little breakdown that we did with a shot fake and a drive, And during this game, there's probably 18 or 19 NBA scouts sitting right behind the bench. And part of my job as the GA was to hand them stats. So I got to sit right behind Coach and Pat. And first play of the game, you can actually go to this box score. This was Coach's 900th win. First play of the game, they win the tip. They missed a shot. We come down, get the ball. I think we get Trevor the ball at the elbow. He shot fakes DeAndre, waits for him to get up in the air, gets fouled, first foul. And so he gets number 1 on him like 8 seconds or 16 seconds into the game. And then 2 or 3 possessions go by. We do the same thing again, and he gets fouled. He gets his second foul. He sits on the bench the rest of the first half. He comes in the second half. And, young guys, especially when they get frustrated, it's almost like you can tell they're going to get hurt or something not very positive is going to happen. And what do you know? He's flying around. He falls. He hurts his ankle. He sits out the rest of the game, doesn't even play. We beat Texas A&M at home that night. I think we beat them by 9 points or 14. And maybe we beat them by 14. I have to go back and say, well, anyway, a couple weeks go by. Coach resigns. He decides that he's ready to move on to the next phase of his career. And we play at Texas A&M a few weeks later. They beat us by 55. So the way I figured it, he was worth like, I don't know, 59, 64, something like that, something really remarkable. And all it was the shot fake. So that's one of my biggest lessons I took from Coach Knight, just observing him and being there to assist in any way possible of how to keep the game simple and how to really send home a message with your team.
Well, that's good stuff. I would say this. I would concur with that. I think the shot fake is a lost art. You don't see enough of those even now. I mean, we're watching games, and I watch and I help broadcast. I say, man, that kid did a shot fake. That's incredible. You saw a shot fake, and they always go for the shot fakes. Come on, I love the shot fake. I do. I always have, especially
create
inside.
Quite an advantage for you.
You do. Hey, you mentioned on your early years at Trine, you had 2 people there that was watching the game that cared. Well, you know what? As that time went on at Trine, that little facility that you had built over there, that you finished your career in coaching in, there's nothing better than that in D3 basketball, and that certainly had to be a great tool for you as a recruiting angle and everything. What a facility that you had there.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a result of incredible leadership from the top down, from the chairman of our board, Rick and Vicki James. Him and his wife were just tremendous in having a great vision, helping Dr. Earl Brooks see that vision through to have a premier facility, but also get them to understand it was about retention. And any success is about perseverance. And you can't persevere at something if you don't stick with it. So when I was at Trine, I think our retention rate overall as a university was somewhere around 50%. And when I left, it was somewhere in the high 80s. And I can tell you with our basketball program, and I had to grow a lot as a coach. I remember I had a really great player transfer one time. And he said to me when he came into the office, he was a sophomore. He had a girlfriend going to another school, but he said to me, he goes, you know what? On my birthday, coach, you told me I sucked at defense, and my high school coach called me and told me, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. And I said, you know what? I don't know if I actually used the words you suck at defense, but it really hit home to me of how I was communicating with players. And when you don't have an elite facility and some of the things that, I had to do a better job, the way I treated my players, the way I managed them, the way I helped, encourage their growth. So those first 6 or 7 years at Trine, we were at Hershey Hall. I think we probably had 7 to 10 players transfer out of our program. Mm-hmm. The last 8 years, after that young man, and him and I have since talked quite a bit since then, and I thanked him for his honesty, and we've met and we've talked about how we both could have done better. We wish we could have, knew what we know now, but we only had 1 rotation player transfer in the last 8 years at Trine University through this entire transfer portal situation. So, and he's one of my favorite players of all time. His name's Christian Knox. He played on our undefeated regular season team when we were 18-1 overall. We helped him get to a place where he could play more. And because of him, we actually had one of our assistants on our national championship team. I called Christian and said, "Hey, Isaac Anderson has applied to be the second assistant here. What do you think?" He said, "Coach, he'd fit in perfect with you guys. You'd love him." And Christian and I still talk, guess what, every year on his birthday. So I've made it a real point to to make sure that I understand as an experienced head coach and now and into a different role now, that I continue to remind myself that you're here for the players, and they need you to be successful. So anything you can do to make them feel good about themselves and work their butts off that day, that's your job. And I think I've grown a lot since then.
Yeah, I would. Before you do that, Davey, I gotta say it's all about relationships, Brooks. That's all it is. And you mentioned some amazing people throughout your entire journey, and those have all been relationships that you have developed, and you will continue to do that. And that's why you've been so successful.
Thank you.
Well, I think the same thing. Let's take the relationship building, going back to recruiting and retaining. Let's we do have a lot of players potentially watch our show here, and parents as well. So Brooks, let's educate them a little bit. As a coach, you're walking into a gym. It could be a summer event. It could be a practice. It could be a game, whatever. What are you looking for as you scout that prospective player?
Well, I think what will be valuable for parents is if I tell you what we're not looking for.
There we go.
So what we're not looking for is, I worked for, again, 4 coaches that have won national championships. I was fortunate enough to be a part of a staff that won ourselves. Never one time have I asked you or both Coach Krause's. I would never ask a coach, "Hey, how many points a game does he score?" That's never ever come up in a conversation with a high school coach. When we watch him, we actually ask about, "Hey, what are his parents like? How does he treat his teammates off the floor?" And what else is really important, Coach? And you guys know this because your kids were multi-sport. You guys both had great teams. Do they play other sports? Because we recruit ball players. Ball players it's really important how you play ball. Can you make plays on the basketball? That stuff really matters, I think. And I think it's more valuable now than ever when it comes to that. So those are things that we look at. And it's really not about what they do, it's how they do it, how they go about being successful, how they go about helping their teams win. And I can tell you this, we rarely recruited teams or guys from teams that were 5-15. The year we won the national title, I think 4 or 5 of the guys in our team won state championships or championships at another school that they transferred in from. So that was really, really important to us. Those things mattered. They just have good habits. And when you have a really strong family background and education is important, that you just have these tools that you naturally have that not everybody has. You've got good habits. And I tell our players all the time, and I tell parents when I'm recruiting them is, as a parent, I want my kids hanging out with kids that come from strong homes with good, solid beliefs and values. Because when I'm not around, I want somebody else to help guide them and teach them the right thing to do. So when we're recruiting, it's really important for us not just to recruit size, strength, athleticism, and skill, but from programs where they've been tested. Some of our best players, Miles Copeland was one of the best players we ever had at Trine University. He was a first-team all-conference guy, basically single-handedly got us into the semifinals of our league one year because we really struggled. We all knew whatever. That's a whole other story. But he played for Ed Heitzel at St. John's, and he didn't play for 2 years. He played a little bit as a junior, and then he kind of really grew into a special player as a senior and was the track player of the year. But he knew how to come into a program and not be the guy or not get all the attention or understand that he had to learn and earn his way to more opportunities when it came to making plays. So those type of programs are really special. And obviously, Coach, we've had some great players from Archbold and with Bryce Williams and Cade Brenner for us when I was at Trine that are, and Cade's still got an incredible career ahead of him. But just that really matters to us.
No, that's good stuff. And I'm hoping people listen to that, then they take that to heart because that is 100%. I'm all over that. Brooks, we certainly appreciate your time today. It's been fun. We could probably talk for another half hour or so, but I know you got important things to do, and we appreciate your time and wish you all the best, as always, with the Chippewas. And
thank you.
All the best to your family as well.
Yeah, thank you. You guys as well. It was a real privilege getting a chance to compete against you guys and then as I've grown in this career, I've called you both more than once and had many conversations with you, and just so thankful that you guys were willing to take the time with me, and I'm trying to pay that forward to anybody else that needs it. So
there you go.
That's doing a fine job of it too.
You bet. Yeah. Appreciate it again, Brooks.
Take care,
thanks,
Brooks.
guys.
Yep.
Time now to thank our sponsors for Season 2 of Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat. Our title sponsor this season, the Terry Hendricks Auto Group. Terry Hendricks sells and services new and used vehicles with a reputation for professional service. Visit or contact both Terry Hendricks Ford and Terry Hendricks Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Archbold. D&G Welding of Archbold. Call 419-445-5751 and ask about their mobile service. Rely on D&G Welding for all your welding needs. American Freedom Energy, located just off US 24 on Highway 109 by Liberty Center. If you're traveling in the area, stop in for a fuel fill-up of high-quality Marathon gasoline. And while you're there, pop into Grandma's General Store. You'll find locally produced grocery items from local Henry, Fulton, Defiance, and Williams County producers. Ward's Power Sports and Carts in South Archbold, your hometown experts for top-quality golf carts and UTVs. Stop by or go to www.wardscarts.com and see why they're the area's trusted choice. S&W Mills of Archbold, proud supporters of the Archbold Blue Streaks and all our area students and athletes. Call S&W Mills of Archbold for all of your animal bedding needs at 419-445-5206. Viking Trucking in Ridgeville Corners. They provide reliable transportation for your construction materials like stone, dirt, asphalt, rough material. They handle all types of heavy materials for your construction needs. Call 419-267-3319. Viking Trucking, where quality doesn't cost, it performs. Theo Construction in Blakesley. They excel in custom residential and commercial construction services. They offer custom home building, remodeling, commercial build-outs, and project management. Trust Theo Construction for your next construction project. Also, while you're in Blakesley, visit the Theo Supply Center. From power tools to plumbing supplies, they offer everything needed to tackle any job. The Sherwood State Bank, with branches in Sherwood, Defiance, Archbold, and Fayette, offering banking and financial services for consumers, business, agriculture, and investments. Call the main branch at 419-899-2111 or visit one of the local 4 branches nearest you. And Innovatech Solutions of Archbold, your trusted technology partner. Call 419-445-8088 to learn more about their many services or visit them online at innovatechsolutions.net. That's Innovatech with a K, solutions.net. Thanks to all our sponsors for Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat Season 2, and we do sincerely hope that you, our listeners, will patronize these fine businesses. And if you enjoy Hoop Chat, thank our sponsors for supporting the program. All right, guys, final buzzer. What a great show today. You guys had a really good cadre of guests here. What do you think about that?
Well, I was impressed by all of our guests, beginning with our 2 coaches in the coaches spotlight, Coach Kreinbrink and Napoleon. I'm sure the people in Napoleon are excited to have him back in the lead and leading their program again, because he did such a phenomenal job in stint 1. Logan Stoller at Paulding, boy, his enthusiasm and his passion for the game really showed, and I can see why they are competitive as heck. And then Lexi Moore, boy, what a personality, and really enjoyed hearing her story and what makes her tick. And then, of course, Brooks Miller. We're always so proud of our Northwest Ohio sons who go on to do great things, and Brooks has just been the epitome of that. He's been out there and just excelled at his craft, and he's a guy coming. He's had success already, but he's got a lot more in front of him.
Oh yeah, it's a lot in front of Brooks, and I 100% agree with all those 4, with Corey and Logan and Lexi and Brooks. All 4 of them were just fantastic, and you can see why they haven't had the success they've had. All 4 of them.
What about some games that may be on the agenda that maybe our fans want to get their popcorn out and get after and check them out this coming weekend? Yeah,
there's a few from around the area that I'm looking at. The Stryker Panthers, the boys under Coach Willis, they've won a couple games in a row, and they played tonight at Bryan, and then on Saturday they go to Paulding. So there are a couple games in a row, but there'll be good challenges for them. Evergreen, the boys, you talked about them earlier the show there. They're at home tonight against Ottawa Hills, but an interesting game on Saturday for Evergreen is at Montpelier, and that's a 4:30 JV start. But I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be a track meet. You want to see some balls up and down the floor. Get over there to Montpelier. Another game interesting that would be Ayersville's got an interesting weekend. They're going against the NWOAL. They go to Delta on Friday, and they host Archbold Blue Streaks, and that's going to be on the radio with Throny and WMTR. I'm going to be on the road myself, so he'll have somebody stepping in and doing a good job with him, I'm sure, right, Throny?
Hope so.
Okay. Anyway,
It'll be lonely if I don't.
Yeah, you'll be fine. And then Wasion. Got a big weekend, Friday night, Edgerton at home, and then they go to the Grand Canyon on Saturday afternoon or Saturday with the Napoleon Wildcats.
Just a few.
You got some girls games?
Yeah, I got a couple girls games I think deserve some attention. On Friday night, a BBC contest, a rematch. Here it is, Fayette at 5-1, at Stryker 6-0. And this is the BBC League contest. So, and Fayette wants to maybe avenge their earlier loss, their only loss to Stryker. So that'll be on Friday night. On Saturday, I always love Donnybrook's, the backyard rivalry games. And down in Van Wert County, you've got a pair of them going head to head, and that's Wayne Trace at Crestview. And that's always a good game, and that's on the guys' side, I believe. But yes. Nonetheless, that's a dandy of a game. And then on Monday, probably as good as a game in our area will see. On the girls' side, two powerhouse teams, and with lots of returners. The OG Lady Titans come to the House of Heat and play Patrick Henry on Monday night, so that'll be a Donnybrook as well.
Those sound great. This is a good weekend. I mean, for early season basketball, those are some great matchups.
Absolutely.
I think so. And fans, get out there, like you said, get the popcorn and get yourself a good seat and a nice warm gym and have some fun.
All right. Once again, we invite you to drop us a line for Hoop Chat. You can ask questions about life coaching basketball. You can ask these guys to talk about some funny situations. Find Hoop Chat on X and leave us a message at nwohhoopchat. Or email your questions to nwohiohoopchat, that's all one word, nwohiohoopchat @gmail.com. Thanks to our listeners again for joining us this week for this edition of Northwest Ohio Hoop Chat. Thanks again to all of our sponsors for the program, and we thank Terry Hendricks, our title sponsor, the Terry Hendricks Auto Group. Guys, as we say every week,
see you courtside.